Guillermo in Goodwill.
Un placer.
And this interview is, although we're in Goodwill, it's not connected to Goodwill. It's just you and
Mhm,
I speaking, and I'm just gracious that we were able to use this space to have this conversation.
mhm.
And I want to start with just an introduction for those who may not know you. Remind me of your name, and you were on the board of Civilian Review Board, yes?
Correct, correct. My name is Guillermo Sollano, and yes, I have been on. I was part of the board for the Police and Accountability Review.
You were part of
Uh,
the first group, yeah?
I was part of the first group. We were appointed by the previous mayor,
Hmm.
hmm and my period ended on March this year.
Oh, I see, I see.
Mhm,
And now that experience you had, I want to talk about the first days, first week, first month.
mhm,
During 2020, I remember all those workshops and everything leading up to the
mhm,
infancy stages of the board itself.
mhm.
How did that feel during the process of elimination, selection? How did that feel being selected to the board itself?
For me, it was an honor, first of all, and to be able to be somebody who represents the community,
Yeah.
not just the Hispanic community, but the Louisville community in general.
Hmm.
So it was a big deal for me, and it still is something that I truly uh, embrace and keep in my heart. Um, it was tense,
Hmm.
because you never know what you're going through, and I mean you're gonna be dealing with the police,
Yeah.
in cases that they could be public,
Hmm.
and you never know how it's gonna affect your safety, for example. A lot of people, they were concerned for my safety, friends,
Hmm.
because you don't know if you get into a case where you really get in, somebody's gonna be in jail,
Hmm.
from the police because you were part of it, So
Did you run into any tense or tumultuous interactions?
in the beginning
Oh, okay.
it was a lot of tension
Hmm.
from police, and because it was a lot of media around us,
Yeah.
like they can recognize you. They knew who you were,
Yeah.
and it was a big switch. And the reason why I choose to be there, um, I am not the person who's gonna point fingers and try to find who's guilty. This is not my job.
Yeah.
My job was to make sure that to be a balance
Hmm.
in between. Um, I approach that opportunity that way, and I have the privilege to get to know a lot of the police officers,
Hmm.
and I can tell you that a lot of them they are where they are because they love to protect people.
I see.
They really do. And be honest, just if you choose a career like that,
Hmm.
you really have to love people. You really have to
Mm.
protect people. And when you see them young and they're coming out of the academy, that's their intention. That's what they have in their hearts. I think with time, they start to they get involved with the system,
Okay.
and there are a lot of things that are wrong, and they have been wrong for for many years.
Hmm.
You cannot do your job and put in your life in risk with a very low salary. If
Mm.
you have to buy your weapons, if you have to rely on a very old patrols,
Hmm.
and so I saw the part of them where they struggle. They have a terrible insurance. Mm.
Interesting.
Yes. So I got their perspective,
Hmm.
and for me, it was about the bad apples, the people who doesn't have to be there, because the force is something that we need. The longest is
Mm.
crime. We need the balance of the police. You know, Unfortunately, if they're not trained properly, if they're corrupt by the system, it will be hard for them to do their job. You know,
Let me
and
ask you,
temptation is there.
did you have a chance to go on a ride along? Did you have a chance to see the training that
Yes,
LMPD officers were a part of?
yes. The ride along was one of the big eye openers.
Mm.
I have the opportunity to be with a few officers, and you you live the moment. You know, they keep you away. You can see from behind, but you can see how people react to them. You
Mm.
know, and the mistrust that unfortunately it has been built for all this time.
Okay.
Mhm. So um, it was hard for them to be welcome. You know, it wasn't like they show up and okay, they're here for help to help me. I could tell more distrust from the people than that peace of mind that oh okay, I have somebody who backed me up, you know, somebody to protect
Mm.
me. And the other side, the police, are the majority. I would say the majority of them. You know, the ones that are putting their life outside. I think they have good intentions and they're there to protect people.
Hmm.
You know?
Let me ask you this question. The amount of cases that would come in on a continuous basis, or the amount of cases that you saw throughout your entire tenure on the
Mm-hmm.
board itself, was tell me a little bit about that. Was it shocking? Was it not shocking? Was it?
It was shocking. I mean, I have the opportunity to go to trainings and um, the Attorney General, the Inspector General, he's a great guy. He's very prepared. He's
Hmm.
uh,
I was going to ask you about
Edward.
him right
Mhm.
after this too.
Yeah, he knows his job. He knows exactly what is needed and what. Unfortunately, it's like you don't have the support.
Mm.
Mhm. Because everybody's gonna try to protect their their side, you know.
Yeah.
And like for example, the previous chief of police, they weren't. I would say that I really like the one that we have right now. You know,
Paul Humphrey.
Paul Hump.
And you're referring to the previous chief of police, Jackie Glenn Royal.
Hmm.
Okay.
It wasn't the same as what I see with this one. With this chief of police, I can see that he really protects his people. He is for his team, you know,
Nice.
and it's something that I appreciate from a leader.
Nice.
Also, it makes it difficult, you know, when you have a case, because he has to protect it,
Hmm.
you know, and and at the end, the board, it was a very difficult job, and it was difficult to see the many things they weren't able to go through for all the positions because you don't have any power for real. I mean, you just a board and you say we consider that this case it has to be open and persecuted, whatever. But like if they're rejected. There's nothing you can do.
That's interesting what you said there that they didn't really have any power, and you're referring to the board itself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I understand that at one period of time there was a memorandum of understanding between the board and the Louisville Police Department. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, or would you say, or what were your thoughts on mm, the time after that memorandum of understanding was put into place? Do you think it increased the amount of power that that board had on the Louisville Police Department and the complaints or
Mm-hmm.
cases that came from citizens?
Definitely. I mean, if you have the support, if you talk in the same language, uh, and the common denominator will be to have a better community, you know.
Mm.
And I think in that time the police saw a great opportunity to bring that bridge between them and the general population.
Hmm.
You know, because there's a lot of mistrust. Let's be honest, there's a lot of mistrust
Oh,
with the
I
police.
agree.
So I think it was a great opportunity for them to build those bridges with the community.
Hmm.
You know? And something that I think they've been doing good. I don't know if they're still doing it, but they have meetings with the city, and the public can go and talk and meet the chief of police or the district person from that district.
I see. Are
You
you
know,
referring
and I
to
think
the cuts and conversations? I believe.
exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I I went with community to a couple of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're interesting. I will say. But this particular interview, I'll leave my thoughts off of that. You know, 'cause that could be a whole other interview in
Oh
itself.
yeah,
But
absolutely, absolutely.
you know, the aspect of a department, in this case the Louisville Metro Police Department, coming and talking to community and whatnot. coupled with that level of mistrust that
Hmm.
I've seen from my own eyes, and I've heard several stories of mistrust itself. Again, I'm getting into it, and I just said I
Hmm.
was gonna. That could be a whole other interview, but I
Absolutely.
I want to I want to dial back and go to um, the Inspector General, in this case Ed Harness.
Hmm.
You refer to him as a great guy, and he is, of course, still the Inspector General today.
Hmm.
But I know his position is his tenure is ending and is up for not so much re-election, but reappointing.
Hmm.
Would you suggest or would you encourage the mayor to reappoint him as Inspector General?
Absolutely. I don't think I know anybody else that can do that.
I see.
And I've been on the trainings and I'm being exposed to. They have a conference that I have the opportunity to go and I meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, he's such a, I mean, he's so well known national wise, and hopefully they can let him do his job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
for real, to let him do the job and let the board do what they're supposed to do.
correct me if I'm wrong here, but he was one of the people who wanted, or shall I say, demanded that memorandum of understanding because of the disconnect between
Hmm.
LMPD and the
Yeah.
Civilian Review Board. Yes,
Hmm.
also referred to as the CRAB, of course. That being Civilian Review Board, Civilian Review and Accountability Board. But again, I um, I too would like to see Ed Harness reappointed,
Hmm.
as I have heard and assume many do as well, who have been focusing on the Civilian Review Board's efforts and the Office of Inspector General. Now, with you having been on the board and have left, did you want that seat back? Did you choose to not try to get that seat back?
Unfortunately, it's a good question, and I was looking forward to get out of that because I didn't see it was extremely frustrated to see that nothing happened. You know that it was all this pushback
Mhm.
and yeah, they're listening to you and they get all the information and everything was pushed back. So,
When you say pushback, can you expound on that a bit?
like for example, some cases they should be reviewed
Mhm.
and for one reason or another one that they did it. You know.
Mm.
So, um, and some of the things that they propose or we propose as a board, I don't know if everything went through.
Mhm.
So, and I want to be involved in the community.
Yes.
It is part of my life to be part of Louisville community, not just the Latino. I mean, I'm Latino always,
Mhm.
and also I'm an American, and I'm part of this community. I'm part of Louisville. I've been in Louisville for 30 years, and I really love to see our city succeed and be as great as it can be. You know, I really want the best for the city and everybody involved.
Which takes me to another question. I had the pleasure of interviewing with Mr. Harness as well, and at the time, the Louisville Community Commitment Consent Decree has not been released yet, but after that interview, it has. My question to you is, well, first and foremost, how familiar are you with you? How familiar are you with that document, that city-based consent decree?
I got completely disconnected after March 30th. I disconnect myself for everything that has happened.
Now, it's an interesting response because it's one I found to be consistent with a lot more people in the city too. They become disconnected after, and correct me and tell me if this is one of the reasons maybe why you became disconnected. They became disconnected after the federal level dropped off.
Yeah,
And is that one of the reasons why, or the
it
reason?
is a part. It's
Yeah.
part of that. Part of that. I mean, one time I hear that the current president he was pushing all the uh, civilian boards should be
Yes.
take it out, and it was if we as civilians we don't have boards like that that
Hmm.
they can talk for everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, what you have to cover of what you don't want people to know that you don't want to vote there.
Very important question indeed. One of which I look forward to learning the answer to, hopefully.
Yeah.
I bring up that Louisville-based, that city-based consent decree, and I do believe there is also a city-based consent decree either formed or being formed in Minneapolis, Minnesota, by their mayor, Jacob Fry. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. I don't think I am, but hey, who knows? Um, do you think that this city-based consent decree is going to have any impact or enough strength that people were hoping the federal consent decree was going to have?
Absolutely, absolutely.
You think it will?
Hmm.
Understood. And which leads me to another question. The RFP, RFA, request for proposal, request for applications, although not strongly marketed, in my opinion, it is out there.
Hmm.
Again, the RFA, RFP to become an independent monitoring team is out there now, and I believe the closing date is coming up soon, whether the next week or the week after that. With your experience on the civilian review board, and this may be a silly question because you just told me you're disconnected from it, but do you have any interest in applying to get on that independent monitoring board?
If it's, it will be depends who's the leader.
Understood.
It will depend on the leader.
Now, again, that deadline is coming up soon, but I asked that mostly because of your experience on the civilian review board. Some believed that that independent monitoring was going to overlap the civilian review board, possibly mimicking actions or abilities that that board would have. But I know, and for those who don't know, those are two separate entities, two separate forms of getting accountability and literally monitoring the process of the consent decree, that being Louisville Metro Police Department and civilians. Well, Louisville Metro government and Louisville Metro Police Department and civilians, in this case, of course, with no federal level accountability, which raises the question, where would accountability come from? But anyway, back to you, Guillermo. I, I've been watching that process from beginning to end, which there's no end yet, but again, I've seen a lot of people, backing away from the process and whatnot. I do want to get into a series of questions about an announcement that was made yesterday, but I'm going to do so just in a few moments right after this commercial break. So I'm going to grab a drink from the lovely Black Coffee 2, and we will be right back in just a moment.
Through every note, every performance, the arts connect us. The arts connect us through joy and through awe, bridging cultures and generations. From intimate theaters to the grandest stages, the arts bring us together, reminding us that we're never truly alone. When we experience the arts, we experience each other. Kentucky Performing Arts. The arts connect us.
I asked you a lot of questions about the Civilian Review Board, the independent monitoring process, but I want to ask you now about an announcement that was made, this flies flying my eye, yesterday about Louisville being erased from the list of sanctuary cities. Did you have a chance to go over that article? And let me just ask you, how do you feel about that?
Well, there's so many feelings. I don't know if you want me to tell them all on camera.
All of them. As many as whatever you're comfortable with, of course.
It is. I think that we're going backwards. Mm-hmm. Having a place where you, as an immigrant, feel protected and that you feel that you can work and be free, you know, because as an immigrant, it's everything that we look for. We don't look into take up your job or anybody's job. There are plenty of jobs for everybody, and I feel that I think the mayor could do more. He could do more, and fight a little. And I understand that we can be punished federally. However, I would appreciate from him a little pushback.
I
There was no pushback whatsoever,
It didn't seem like.
and um, and I understand that. mm, I could understand his position. You know, I'm not a politician, but I could respect that.
Mm.
But I could respect him more if he could push back and fight for all the citizens in Louisville, and that included all the um, immigrants. Because yes, we know that we have a good population. Uh, they haven't have a status,
Mhm.
and we have a great amount that we have been here forever. You know, I was born in Mexico,
Mhm.
but I have been in this city for more than 30 years,
I see.
and practically I don't know anything else anymore about my country. Make sense?
Yes.
So every time that I go is like going to vacation because my life is here, my family is here, my friends are here,
Mhm.
my job, my community, my business.
Mhm. Understood.
So if you let go so easy,
Mhm.
you don't consider the rest of the community, and just I'm totally disappointed. It shouldn't be a pushback in some way or another.
Mhm.
Again, I don't understand politics as that well, but at least pretend. you know, I don't want to pretend, but at least do something.
Understood. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but this decision, what has happened now, it will affect those being held in Louisville Metro Department of Corrections. They'll be held for 48 hours. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Gotcha. And I'm curious, what what does this mean? What is the is this being done and has the possibility of more deportations now with immigration and customs enforcement?
Let me tell you what is going to happen. Okay,
I'm all in.
the more we allow those things, and I want to take myself out of it
Mm-hmm.
because they don't want to count my opinion
Mm-hmm.
because I'm an immigrant, correct?
Mm.
And it doesn't matter again for how long I have been here. I'm just an immigrant.
Mm.
You know, people still refer me till this day. People still think of me about Mexican. Makes sense. So what is going to happen is it's going to be a targeting point for the rest of the population. It doesn't matter if you are a citizen, if you've been working here, if you have a business, if you give jobs to other people, you know, they don't. If if your eyes come and see me, they will stop me for sure. Hmm? For sure. For what? For my color.
Mm.
You know, and we're going back 400 years ago, don't we? And I cannot compare the suffering that our black brothers went through,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just a little taste of what you as a community,
Mm-hmm.
you understand what it is.
Yeah.
So that now our community is going through something similar. So what is coming next? I just saw a video today about in New York, they have them in rooms like this, and they sleep on the floor, the worst conditions.
Mm.
They have a bucket to pee and poop, you know, like literally like the dogs and the human society, they're doing better right now.
This is a detainee facility.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Yeah.
In Kentucky.
No, that one was in New York. I haven't seen
Yeah.
the ones in here.
I,
Hopefully,
I believe there are what 5 in Kentucky, somewhere around there.
something like that. Yes. And I think the biggest right here in Oregon.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I had an interview recently with Carla Wallace, and I asked her a question, and I'm going to ask you as well,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I want to ask it vaguely first. How can community support you? I say for myself, Te apoyo, which I believe is, correct me if I'm wrong on this. I'm still working on my Spanish, but
Mm-hmm.
it's I support you,
Uh-huh.
right? And
Te apoyo. Yes.
Te apoyo.
Te apoyo. Yes.
How can community support you? How can
Mm-hmm.
community support the immigrants in this community who feel be a threat when they themselves are legally here? But I
Mm-hmm.
have no choice but to agree with you because I've seen stories, I've seen situations happening when those who are here in Louisville, here in America, are being detained. The most recent of which um, I didn't see it happening, but there's a gentleman, a chaplain in Cincinnati, Ohio, who was detained, and he had papers. See, everyone knew it was legal, and so those protests broke out because of that unjustified deportation.
Mhm.
But again, I tend to get long-winded, so I'll just go back to the question: how can communities support you? How can communities support immigrants in this city?
Well, once you're established as an immigrant, start calling me immigrant.
Mm.
Stop calling me Mexican.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just Guillermo, and I'm from the United States right now.
Nice.
Makes sense. That's the place that I am.
Guillermo,
My friend.
happy to be with
Hmm. You see that, and that's the kind of things that I have with people like you. I never saw your color,
you. Mm-hmm.
you know, and we talk, and I know that we're different. I know that we have cultures, but that's what makes this thing beautiful. You know? When you go to a parties and you have food, and when I go to your house, and I haven't been, but if I go to your house, I'm pretty sure there's gonna be something good, something that I can learn. And the biggest issue that we have is that we don't know each other.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, all this fear that they put around, they have to invent. We are the enemy of the season. You know, they have to invent an enemy. Remember that if you divide and conquer, so you have to invent enemies. So right now, are the enemies? Last election with him, who were the Mexicans, the bad hombres. Now we are all. We have to make the enemy bigger. Now the enemy are the immigrants. Correct. So and unfortunately, look how it's being progressive.
Mm-hmm.
We start just by the, detaining the ones who have bad records, then jump into the ones who didn't pay something. Then they start to review the residentships. Now they're gonna start to review the citizenships.
Mm.
You know, like if nobody talks for you, if you don't talk for someone else, nobody's gonna talk for you in the moment. You know, and if you see
I
how
have to
it's been
agree with you.
progressing, like something has to happen. Something has to happen.
Now, have you either directly or have you had friends, acquaintances who have been a threat and have been accosted by ICE?
Not
Situations
directly
like
by
that?
eyes, but you hear and being involved in the community and being part of involved with non-profits,
Mm-hmm.
you hear those things very often. Okay, what I have experienced the most, or friends have experienced the most, is the division.
Mm.
You know, like a friend of mine, she was outside on a Mexican store on Preston, ordering some food or something like that. I don't remember the whole story, but I talked with of guys that stop over and tell them return to Mexico, return to your country, and stupid things like that, you know, and like going very ignorant, very extremely. Uh, no, it's more than racist. You know, it's just fear.
I'm so sorry they had to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
sorry you dealt with
she
that.
have to do something like that, you know, and it's like, what is next?
Yeah,
Makes sense?
it does.
Mm-hmm.
It does. I'm so sorry, Guillermo, and to your friends who experienced that. It's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely awful.
Yeah. Again, we're not here to take anything away from anyone. You know, the United States that I came from, you know, and that I have been growing all these 30 years, it was a place of abundance, what is enough for everybody, you know, and it is so much for everybody that is stupid that we find in this way. That is stupid that we get to be manipulated the way that we are, you know, and in the end, we fight in the community for issues that are not even ours. You know, we're fighting for things that is not our, it's our responsibility at the end, but it's not something that we have created, not something that we have the power to fix. And the people who can fix it, you know, they don't do anything about it. And this they just confuse you, you know, and never happen. Nothing happens, you know. So, and I really invite people, regardless of what they believe or what is their um, political view,
Mm-hmm.
just to review that. I mean, really listen what all the politicians said about it, and it is about pointing fingers. I mean, what kind of politics we live right now? It's like, and you pay. Look at the commercials on elections. People pay for trash somebody else, and I support this message. You know, so that talks not just about them. It talks about us as a community. It talks about us because who allowed those things? And we don't judge the person for their own character. We judge them for what the other person said about the other person. And that's a very low way to live. It's a very low level of energy. So the only way we're gonna change it is just to have our own opinions, to do research, and it doesn't have nothing to do with education, you know, but you can do research,
We can get to know each other, like you said.
exactly, get to know even your politicians. Before you vote, go and meet them, and all the before the elections they have events and things like that, and ask the questions, get to know them, feel the energy.
Yeah, I getting to know those politicians. It gets a bit interesting at sometimes, but I have to agree with that. Making the city, making the world feel a little smaller, more and more and more and more by getting to know more people. And I do hope moments like that get easier and easier and easier for people, for myself actually. But I want to do some reflecting, wrapping up questions. I want to go back to the first section that we were speaking of. Of course, there's a whole new board. Some members are still there from the first group, and and there's some new faces as well. First question about that is, what do you think, having been on the board and now not being on the board, what do you think the board needs in order to be more impactful for citizens who have complaints against LMPD? Should they have?
I think I think it needs more support from the community,
Mm.
not from the government, because if they don't want to release information, if they don't want to help it, they won't. But if the citizens support those groups and give them the power to review all those cases or to review what the authorities are doing, you know, and because when you are on those boards, you don't make any money. You are there just for the love of your community. I spent, and all the people on the board will spend at least 3 years there. Okay, and it is not easy. It takes a lot of energy from us, but we care for our community. So at least what we would like is to have the support from the community. The authorities are going to do what the authorities do.
Mm-hmm. Do you think if there were more support from community that it would put more pressure on
Absolutely.
government to get certain things in line? I know that in the beginning of all this, and still to this day, there was the cry out for subpoena power. There was the cry out for LMPD and local government to be more on point with responding to some of these complaints. And some of the demands or reaching out for meetings and interviews and whatnot. Um, things such as records requests and things like that. I don't know. But so it's in your opinion that when more community gets involved, that it'll be a stronger force to then.
Absolutely. How can you stop that?
How could you stop it?
Union is the force. I mean, it's the union of the people who will make the force, And it's look at the politicians right now. So take away the ones from here because I know that a lot of people in here in Louisville or owners from the government in Kentucky, we don't know anything about them. We just know the ones that we see on TV, correct?
Yeah.
But look what they do. This is exactly what they do. They just they they don't give you that support, and because nobody fight them against them on their opinion, you know, is nothing else. They do what they want. But we forgot one thing: politicians are public service. There are our employees as community.
Yeah.
They work for us as community. So how do you treat your employees? with respect, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But you ask them at the end, what do you do? Show me the results.
Yeah.
Mhm. And nobody wants to do that because nobody wants to take responsibility, correct?
Mm.
So that's why everybody in the government, they do what they want.
They're gonna do what they want.
Have you ever thought about something? Have you ever thought why we saw a president this way,
Oh
like
God.
a big authority, a major, when it's like this, it's face to face. It's if you have those people in front of you, they're just like that, just
Mm.
another person.
Uh,
But they have all this power, all this. We don't question them, and they're just bigger than what we think they are.
yeah, there's definitely a wall there,
Mm-hmm.
and that wall gets smaller and smaller, and the more questions you ask, and the more you get to know someone. But I think, it's first to answer your question. I think about that every day. I don't think there's a day that's gone by where that hasn't crossed my mind in some sort of vantage point or way or fashion or whatnot. There's a phrase I've heard, I've read, I still think about to this very day. No one's going to teach you enough to overthrow them. No one's
Mm-hmm.
going to show you enough to overthrow them. I could sit and stand in front of a politician or someone in quote unquote power for an hour and a half or in a series of weeks or months or whatnot. And they could be doing something corrupt. I don't know within government, and I'll never know because they're not going to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to me to learn as much as I can or which to learn and then realize what's happening or what's going on. But I do agree with you that more conversations need to be had in education to break down these walls of misunderstandings, misinfractions, and just miseducation.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I mean, with politicians, it's the same thing as I mentioned to you with the police.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe that they enter on the public service with the best intention.
Mm.
Unfortunately, the system breaks them down. So, and there's some changes, deep changes that they have to happen.
Indeed, indeed. I'm still thinking about the last question you asked me. Another example of that comes to my mind is just at the sentencing hearing. You know, um, there were, to my knowledge, 4 people who were arrested, not the least of which was Breonna Taylor's aunt, Bianca Austin. One of the officers I saw, it appeared to be arresting her was an officer Stewart, an officer C. Stewart and whatnot. And, Bianca needed to get upstairs, as did Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker arrived upstairs, but Bianca never did because she was arrested. And Bianca was to give an impact statement. Stewart, I don't know why Stewart and the other officers arrested her or didn't let her upstairs, but this was the same officer who, back in January, gave a citation to a woman giving birth at
Mm-hmm.
the same time. I reference that as to give an example. Let's say if I were to get to know him or talk to him or whatnot, and I see these infractions and whatnot, or a list of other infractions that officer's had with that department, in this case, the police department.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that he would smile in my face and tell me the truth about everything that's going on or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be up to me to learn more and learn more around what's happening. But my mind just went there with that example, and I want to say, love you, Bianca, and I'm happy that you're out, and everyone else that was detained and arrested on that day.
Yes.
But yeah, that was just on my heart to get that out. It is done, and bada bing, bada boom. But Guillermo, I want to thank you for your time today.
Was
And
a pleasure.
but I also want to ask, is there, questions were asked of you, of course, but I also want to ask, is there anything that I didn't ask or state or cover that you wanted to talk about or want to get out to, there are people watching. I don't know how many, but they're there. Hi.
I truly, I truly believe in Louisville. I fell in love with the people in Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the reason why I choose to bring my family, I came first to the States.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I thought that's the place that I want to live for the rest of my life, was when I met the people, in all the colors and the diversity.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was very curious to see so many old people and walking and being nice and curious about getting to know you.
Mm-hmm.
So Louisville is a great community. We really are a great community. And I truly, for the bottom of my heart, I hope that that we create some changes and we take responsibility individually and as a group. And really, I really hope that we can create a better, the Louisville that we really are. Not that they want us to create, believe that we are. I think we are a great city for sure.
Do you see it happening in our lifetime?
If we get intentional, yes, absolutely, 100%. It is all about intention, and if we want to change things, and I truly invite people who are curious about getting to know other cultures, like I was part of AMP, and it was the first time that I truly engaged with my black brothers, and and it's the same thing. We have to do something like that and getting to know. So it's coming the World Fest in September. Come and join us and have some delicious food, and maybe you have drinks with somebody there and get to know friends.
Get to know friends. Get to
Yeah,
know
it's just
neighbors.
it's a little romanticized, but I think it's also possible.
Yeah. And again, with the Spanish, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but sí se podemos.
Sí podemos, claro. My friend, thank you so
Guillermo,
much. I
you
appreciate
have a
it.
wonderful evening. Tenga buena noche.
Gracias.
If you do nothing
Do
else,
nothing else.
if you do nothing else,
Do nothing else.
If you do nothing else.
If you do nothing else.
If you do nothing else.
If you